All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to talk about something a lot of us do, over-explaining. We're going to look at why it happens, where that impulse comes from, and most importantly, how to start seeing it not as some kind of flaw, but as a really clever way our minds are trying to protect us.
So just think about it for a second. Have you ever found yourself about to say no to something, but before you even say the word, you've already launched into a whole defensive speech about why you can't? Or maybe you're just a few minutes late and you feel this incredible pressure to explain the entire traffic pattern, the slow barista, the whole chain of events. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, then yeah, you are definitely in the right place. You know the scenario, right? It's a classic. Someone asks you a super simple question, like, hey, how was your weekend? And instead of just saying, it was good, thanks, you give them the entire itinerary. You explain why you chose one cafe over another, why you were tired on Sunday. And that urge, that need to fill in every single gap with more detail, that's exactly what we're getting into today. So, what is really going on here? Because it's not just about being chatty. At its absolute core, the habit of over-explaining is wired to a really deep, really powerful fear of being misunderstood, of being misinterpreted, or, let's be honest, of being judged. And this is a really important thing to grasp. We have to shift how we think about this. This isn't just some annoying habit you need to break. It's actually a pretty sophisticated defense mechanism. You're basically building a fortress made of words to try and keep any potential judgment from getting in. You know, there's actually a psychological term for this. It's called impression management. And look, we all do it, right? You dress a certain way for a job interview. That's impression management. But for someone who over-explains, that entire process is turned inward. It becomes this nonstop internal monologue that's trying to predict and manage what the other person might be thinking about you. But here's the thing, it isn't just about fear. It's also powered by this really deep desire to be seen and understood for who you truly are. There's this little flicker of hope inside that says, if I can just explain it perfectly, if I can give them all the context, then they'll have to see my true intentions. It's really a hunt for genuine, authentic connection. So, where does a powerful need like this even come from?
Well, like so many things about us, the roots of this often go way back, usually into our past experiences.
Does that one sound familiar? Or how about, you're just overreacting? Or maybe, why are you making such a big deal out of this? These little phrases, these moments that might have seemed insignificant at the time, they can leave a really lasting mark. And here's the result of that. When your feelings were consistently dismissed, especially when you were young, you might have learned a really tough lesson. My feelings and my reality aren't real unless I can prove them, beyond any doubt. And that can set up a lifelong pattern where you feel like you constantly have to justify your thoughts, your feelings, your very existence. So this constant quest for perfect clarity, this endless self-justification, well, it doesn't come free. It has a huge mental and emotional price tag. It's something called high cognitive load, and it's the reason you can feel completely exhausted after what seemed like a simple conversation. See, it's not just the talking that's tiring. It's the fact that you're running two operations in your brain at the same time. One is doing the talking, while the other is constantly analyzing, editing, and predicting how every single word is landing. It is absolutely draining. I mean, this is that mental obstacle course in real time. First, your brain is already trying to guess what they might judge you for. Then, you're scanning their face for the tiniest signs of disapproval. You start building this verbal wall while you're talking, running through the whole story until, finally, you get this fleeting sense of control. It's literally like your brain is working a full-time job in the background of every single conversation. Okay, so we've seen where it comes from, and we know how exhausting it is. So, what now? How are we supposed to think about this? Well, this is where we get to reframe the whole thing and move away from criticism and toward compassion. This right here, this is the whole ballgame. It is so easy to fall into the trap of thinking this is some personal flaw, right? That you're just insecure or you just overshare. But the reality is so much more complicated and so much more human. It's a protective mechanism, and it's born from a deep, deep need to be seen authentically. So when you look at it that way, you can see over-explaining for what it really is. It's a strategy for emotional survival. It's a tool your mind figured out how to use to get you through a world that, at some point, felt emotionally unsafe. And you know that brief feeling of relief you get when the explanation is finally over? That's it. That's the feeling of temporary safety.
of knowing you managed the narrative and kept yourself safe one more time.
I really want you to let that sink in for a minute. This is not something to be ashamed of. It's actually a testament to how creative and resilient your mind is. It's a complex, if exhausting, strategy that your brain built from scratch just to protect you.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. What if the goal here isn't to just white-knuckle it and force yourself to stop explaining? What if the first, and maybe the most important step, is to just turn inward and offer a little compassion to the part of you that learned it had to do this to feel safe? What could change if you started to see it not as a flaw you need to fix, but as a shield that just wants to be understood?